Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The most important news and editorial of the day will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with news topic list. Today is 13th of April. The first news is India likely to miss the solar capacity target. We'll see and understand the detail about this. Second, UGC allows 2 university degree at once time. So simultaneously, the student would be able to pursue 2 degrees. We'll see the detail how it would be executed. Third, Sri Lanka announced debt default to combat the crisis. We have seen the economic crisis ongoing in Sri Lanka. So some way forward with that regard. Second last, India can supply food grain to world if WTO permit. This is what the Prime Minister has to advocate in terms of getting food security for the other countries as well. And the last is an editorial a measure to better manage Indian Railway. This is with regards to the Indian Railway Management Service that was recently proposed by the Centre. Apart from this, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based question. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And if you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. And before I start, just to tell you about our interview program, which is already ongoing. You can register yourself. Those of you who will be appearing for interview. We have a special attention on the aspirant who is basically from the West Bengal and Odisha. So do check it out. मैंने वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में लिंक दिए हुए हैं. आप ज़्यादा डिटेल वहाँ से ले सकते हैं. And even you can register yourself. So starting with the first news of the day, that is India likely to miss this year's solar capacity target. This particular news is important for General Studies paper 2, that is government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from it, design and implementations. So according to a latest report, ये कहा गया है कि India is likely to miss its 2022 target of installing 100 gigawatts of the solar power capacity, right? जो कि largely inadequate होगी in terms of fulfilling the rooftop solars. So how this report has come? This was actually a report that was jointly published by JMK Research and Institute for Economics and Financial Analysis. So what it says that कि India की जो target है 2022 तक 100 gigawatt की capacity पूरी करने की, वो basically would not be able to that. And even at this point of time where India is achieving all the targets, but achieving this one would be a bit tougher task. Now installed solar capacity की अगर बात करें, as for December 2021, India has a cumulative installed solar capacity which is 55 gigawatt. I'll give you a complete graph that will give you an idea that हर year में किस तरह की कितनी installations anticipate की गई है. The grid connectivity utility scale makes up to the 77% of the total which has already been installed, and the rest grid connection is 20% from the solar, and mini micro off grid की अगर बात करें, this is 3%. Now with just 8 months 2022 में अगर देखें, we are almost in month of April, so we are left with only 8 months जहाँ पे 50% तक की अभी काम पूरी नहीं हुई है, and just we are on that particular context अगर देखें तो 60 गीगावाट जो है वो यूटिलिटी स्केल पे है और 40 गीगावाट पे है वो सोलर कैपेसिटी पे. So we have to see that how it can be executed, because the anticipation is that India is likely to miss the targets. Now this is a graph to get you an idea that how India has set an year-on-year target to reach an ambitious target by 2022 of 100 gigawatt. This was an actual target that was set. So in this you can see for 2013 it was only 1.9. It gradually increased up to 5.8, and in 2021 this is something 82.5, but it is likely that we'll miss the target of 100, right? So you can quote this numbers as well. If you're writing in mains paper, you can highlight this. Now additional capacity की अगर बात करें, additional 19 gigawatt की solar capacity is expected to be added by 2022, with 15.8 gigawatt from the utility scale and 3.5 gigawatt from the rooftop solar power plant. Now utility solar capacity is additionally on track, which is working on a better pace compared to any other sectors, and India has set to achieve 97% of its 60 gigawatt target. Now this make imperative कि India जो concentrated है जिस अपने efforts को लेकर के, it would be expanding their solar rooftop as well, and solar capacity is a major prolong India's commitment to address global warming, खास करके ऐसे basically adherence में जहाँ पे PCC में, that is the Paris climate change, we already have talked about the reduction in the emissions and moving towards a clean energy. And even for the net zero emissions, the target was set by the 2070, which Prime Minister has already advocated in the COP26 meetings. So this would be some of the additional capacity that India has to work upon to get the commitment which was made at the international forums. Now some challenges, अगर rooftop installations की अगर बात करें, कुछ बड़ी challenges जो रही हैं इस time पे and during the course of the pandemic. First was the pandemic induced supply chain disruptions. Second is the regulatory roadblocks, net metering के limits, जो unpredictability है with regards to the future access and the charges is again a problem. Financial issues, that is delaying rejection and open access approval of the grants. The last but not the least, that is twin burden of the basic custom duties that is imported for the cells modules and that is still approved for the models and manufacture of ALMM. So these are some of the challenges that are faced by the country, and even if these bottlenecks are removed, definitely it would be more hassle free for India to achieve the targets. Now some intervention that is would be required and suggested by the financial analysis by JMK Research and Energy Economics and Financial Analysis. इन्होंने अपने recommendations में ये कहा है that uniform policy has to be applied nationally for at least 5 years. Consistent regulations की ज़रूरत है in terms of net metering and banking facilities, and a strict enforcement of renewable purchase obligation is something which is essentially required. Now, UGC allowed 2 university degree at once. This particular news is important for General Studies Paper 2, issues related to development and management of education and human resources. So recently UGC ने approval दी है जहाँ पे 2 degree simultaneously student pursue कर पाएंगे, and even they can complete their course either from the same university or different university at the same time, which is a great news for the student aspirants who are looking forward for continuing 2 degree at the same time. So this announcement is aligned with the new education policy 2022, which was recently unveiled by the central government, and this would ensure कि जो acquire multiple skills हैं उसको incorporate की जाए. UGC एक नई guideline के साथ आएगी जहाँ पे candidate को ये पूरी बातें बताई जाएगी that how he can pursue one course offline and another course with the online mode. Now possible combinations की अगर बात करें, the move would allow student to pursue 2 academic program in a full physical mode or another in the open or distance mode. So you cannot pursue 2 courses at one time. You have to do one with the distance program, the one would be distance, and the other would be an online program. No, other would be an offline program, right? So this is how it can go about. आप एक offline या distance program कर सकते हैं, दूसरी class आप offline भी कर सकते हैं. Now they can also join a physical mode of the university with another program being the online mode. So this is what the anticipation is coming from the UGC, and they would be actually coming up with this plan with this academic session. So the choice for the student that they can pursue online degree simultaneously as well. And if you want to go for online degrees, आप 2 online degree भी ले सकते हैं continuously. Admission की क्या eligibility criteria होगा and what would be attendance? So as per the eligibility criteria is concerned, UGC has said that would be coming with the norms. जो existing UGC के norms है उसको adhere किया जाएगा, follow किया जाएगा. And if a student aspire to pursue the specialization degree in the domain expert, जो minimum criteria होगी उस subject concern के लिए, that has to be mandatory fulfilled, right? So this is how things would work. But again, depending upon the college and university, they can have their another level of academic entrance and level of test that is essentially required in fulfilling the desired requirement. So since all academic program has a minimum standard and requirement that student would able to take for the examination. Now merits of the decision, why government has come up with decision, UGC ने अब जो ये decision ली है उसकी क्या impact होगी to the larger extent for the future of the students. The UGC chairman ने कहा ये जो guideline है, it is implemented as a part of new education policy and it aims to provide as much as flexibility to the students who can receive the multidisciplinary education system in our country. Now it will essentially allow students to have a simultaneously opt for 2 programs for undergraduate, diploma and even for the postgraduate, and they can also pursue for some of the professional courses online. Now the other news, Sri Lanka announced debt default to combat the crisis. So this particular news is important for General Studies Paper 2, India and its neighborhood relations. So Sri Lanka की government ने कहा है recently that they are defaulting on their external debt which is mounting up to $51 billion, and this can only be resorted once Sri Lanka receives this much amount. Well, we know that Sri Lanka is grimmed with all the financial burden. They have actually taken a huge loan from China, which is now a debt for Sri Lanka, and they are unable to make a repayment. India, although has given proactive roles where they have already provided a line of credit. We'll understand that part also. But abhi ke liye Sri Lanka is facing an acute shortage with basic necessities such as food, medicine, fuel amid the economic downturn, which has also impacted during the COVID-19 pandemic. Although Sri Lanka is an economy which is dependent on tourism, but COVID के time tourism भी काफी ज़्यादा deteriorate हुई. The GDP contribution to Sri Lanka basically जो हमारी tourism की contribution है श्रीलंका की, that is 10%. तो श्रीलंका के टोटल जीडीपी में 10% कंट्रीब्यूट करती है टूरिज्म, विच वाज एक्चुअली नॉट परफॉर्मिंग वेल, एंड इवन द डेट दैट वाज ह्यूज हैज माउंट फॉर सच प्रॉब्लम विच श्रीलंका इज लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड फॉर द डेट रीपेमेंट. नाउ इमरजेंसी मेजर्स की अगर बात करें, द गवर्नमेंट इज टेकिंग इमरजेंसी मेजर्स, जहाँ पे फर्दर डिटोरेशन ऑफ श्रीलंका फाइनेंशियल पोजीशंस के बारे में बात की जाएगी. गवर्नमेंट इज टेकिंग इमरजेंसी मेजर्स वेयर दे वुड बी taking the amount from the International Monetary Fund IMF से, and they sought to help for further deterioration of their country financial positions. Now, comprehensive debt structuring program is now inaccessible for Sri Lanka as well. Now, key policy changes की अगर बात करें, the decision come amid the two key policy changes. The first would be that Sri Lanka is floated with the rupee in March, right, and allowing a stark depreciation of its value, which is nearly 320 against the US dollar. So this was the one major changes that was made. Second is the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has increased the interest rate by 7%, which in bid to strengthen the monetary policy has apparently have the preparation for the IMF package that government want to expedite the overall process to get the loan done. So these are some of the key policy changes that was made by the Sri Lankan government. Now, looking into this graph, it will give you an idea that how the borrowing has actually worked for Sri Lanka. If you look into the share for the major lenders and their foreign debt, they have India has almost 2% contribution, World Bank 9% there, Japan 10%, China 10%, and other countries at a 9%. And looking into the market borrowing that Sri Lanka government has already taken, this was 47%, and Asian Development Banks at 10%. So you can see how the depreciation in the value has already gone, and in 2020 it has reached up to $56.3 billion. Now, what assistance India has provided to Sri Lanka? India ने line of credit बहुत बारी दी है श्रीलंका को. Although recently India and Sri Lanka has signed a line of credit of worth 1 billion, and to assist and enable Sri Lanka, India has also provided import of foods, essential commodities, medicine, COVID-19 के vaccines, और भी ऐसे बहुत सारे food item essential supports हैं जो इंडिया ने दी हुई है, and line of credit was given multiple times. So this is what, as a neighboring country, India has always been vocal about and pivotal about providing a support to a country like Sri Lanka. Now, India can supply food grain if WTO permits. This particular news is important for General Studies paper 2. That is Indian economy and issue related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. So the Prime Minister was addressing a virtual meeting where he said that he has asked the US President during the 2+2 summit, which is still ongoing in Washington, which actually started in 11th of March, right? 11th of April is a day which is actually started. So वहाँ पे ये बात प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने कहा है कि अगर ऐसी कंसेंसस बनती है, WTO अगर उनको परमिट करे, तो रशिया में जिस तरह से रशिया और यूक्रेन में जो वॉर चल रही है उसको लेकर के जो बेसिक फूड आइटम की क्राइसिस हो रही है, इंडिया उसको फुलफिल कर सकता है, बिकॉज इंडिया हैज़ अ सफिशिएंट quantity of food supply with the Food Corporation of India and many other warehouses. So this is what the Prime Minister has to say. Now, free grains government ने already दी है during the Prime Minister Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, which was ongoing during the COVID-19 pandemic. Government has already provided this benefit to 80 crores people, और इसको एक्सटेंड किया गया है अभी कुछ और सितंबर तक के लिए, जहाँ पे 5 kgs ऑफ फ्री राइस दिए जाएंगे, राइट. सो पीपल अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड इज नॉट गेटिंग एसेंशियल फूड आइटम ड्यू टू प्रिकैरियस सिचुएशंस, एंड इवन पेट्रोल और डीजल के जिस तरह से प्राइसेस बढ़ी हैं, फूड इन्फ्लेशन उस वजह से भी सर्च हुई है अक्रॉस द ग्लोब, नॉट ओनली इन इंडिया, ग्लोबली इट हैज बिकम अ प्रॉब्लम. So the Prime Minister has said that the new crisis has emerged where the food security has been threatened, and he said that the global food supply chain is getting worse, and even it can get worse in tomorrow's days. So he was predicting a future sense where at this juncture, India and the world need to take a comprehensive action in terms of ensuring the food security. Now, looking into this infograph, you can look into the stock part. So India has already 821, that is the rice. This is the quantity in lakh ton. Minimum support price की अगर बात करें, India is also providing a good minimum support price that farmer is also getting benefit out of it. 43% increase है paddy में, wheat में भी 41%, and even for the procurement of MSP it is 14%, and total figure is like 33%, which is 341 lakh tons. And estimated stock की अगर बात करें इंडिया में, this is 512.9 lakh ton, and for the new Food Security Act we have almost like 240 lakh ton of stocks. Now moving to the editorial part of the day, that is merger to the better manage Indian Railway Management Service. This particular news is important for General Studies paper 2, that is government policies and intervention for the development of various sector and issues arising from it, design and implementations. So this particular editorial is written by Brijesh Gupta and Kamlesh Goshai. They're working with the Niti Aayog, and other one is Academy. Basically, he's a director of National Academy for Indian Railway Management, which is there located in Vadodara. So what I'll be doing, I'll be simplifying this editorial under 5 important subheads. What would be that examination would be conducted by the UPSC, will understand the entire procedures and implementation part, coordinated work towards achieving the key targets, change in the revamp training and the way forward. The entire editorial focuses upon the Indian Railway Management Services. So a recent gadget was published by the central government where it says that जो इंडियन रेलवे मैनेजमेंट सर्विस है उसको क्रिएट की जाएगी, which would be a paradigm shift in the management of Indian Railway, which is the largest network in the world. तो गवर्नमेंट ने डिसाइड किया है कि जो 10 ऐसे ग्रुप के सर्विसेज हैं उनको मर्ज किया जाएगा और एक सर्विस बनाई जाएगी इंडियन रेलवे मैनेजमेंट सर्विस, राइट. जिस तरह से IES की एग्जाम होती थी, इंडियन इंजीनियरिंग सर्विसेज इज अ डिफरेंट डोमेन ऑल दो, बट सारी जो रिक्रूटमेंट जितनी होती थी IES में वो भी चीज़ों को मर्ज की जाएगी, एंड दिस वुड बी कम्प्लीटली अ न्यू enterprises that would be coming in terms of getting recruitment into the Indian Railways. So these are the list of the 10 important organization or you can say services that has been integrated with the Indian Railway Management Services, which include IRTS, उसके अलावा IRPS, Indian Railway Account Services, Indian Engineering Services, Services of Engineering Signals. ये सारी recruitment जो होती थी वो IES exam के through होती थी, right? So the decision is aligned with the recommendations which was made by the Rakesh Mohan way back in 2001, and even the Debroy committee panel has recommended for the integrations of Indian Railway Management Service, which call for a comprehensive action where it will further strengthening the functioning of the Indian Railways. So if you're writing in mains paper, make sure you quote these two panel names, which would be again important. Now coming to the examination, definitely all the examination would be conducted by the UPSC. There would be a body that has to implement the entire process, and even it is very important that during the job which has been changed in the past 30 years, because we have seen their service continuing for a good number of years. So the aptitude change is essentially required, which can only be fulfilled once the UPSC take the right aptitude examination. So decision to merge 10 Group A services examination is something which will transform the bureaucratic management in the Indian Railway Services, and nearly 8,000 strong cadre, which is still functioning, would have a new a gist where everything would be working in the right direction to get a prospects where Indian Railway Services is working towards the prosperity of the nation and citizen services. Now coordinated work की बात की गई है. The adaptation of new technology is improving the efficiency logistic operations and it continue to update the knowledge. Now अगर बात करें futures leaders की in terms of public transport, it is something which is evolving, and even the government has also come up with the logistic part where they would be looking forward to improve this as well. Now the job of a railway officer is not meant to looking for the fixed number of hours, because railway एक ऐसी services है which is dynamic and working for 24 hours, right? So we need a strong force which is already having a 8,000 strength, but this would have a better coordination जहाँ पे किसी तरह से program और coordination में problem ना आए. There should be no silos in the working. And through the UPSC, they will recruit all the IRMS officers को recruit की जाएगी, which would be coming every year, and this would be the direct recruitment which would be conducted by the UPSC. Now towards achieving the key targets, the training program will definitely have a pool of people, और इंडिया के जो अपनी टारगेट है 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी को अचीव करने की, this can only be achieved once we have all the things aligned. Now the Indian Railway will also play a crucial role in achieving the objects, and even the dedicated freight corridors, speed railways, जो स्टेशन की रीडेवलपमेंट होनी है, वंदे भारत ट्रेन is already in place. So this would be something that would be working in the right direction. And this all require a massive reform of the capacity building ecosystem of the Indian Railways. Now, The important training part of the Indian Services Officer is also aligned with the ambitious Gati Sakti projects. Now, change for the revamp training की बात की गई है, that given the services which would be coming, the IRS officer has to be given an opportunity where new recruitment process and new training has to be incorporated. And the focus should be on creating the managed verticals where business development, infrastructure development, maintenance, tracking and rolling out should be the important part. वे फॉरवर्ड की अगर बात करें, द IRMS ट्रेनिंग इज डिजाइन ऑन द कम्पिटेंसीज, जहाँ पे एक लीडरशिप की क्वालिटी की तरफ ध्यान दिया जाएगा. मिशन कर्म योगी फॉर द गवर्नमेंट एंड इंडिया दैट वुड बी प्रोवाइडिंग कम्पिटेंसी बेस्ड पोजीशन सर्विसेज. इंटीग्रेटेड गवर्नमेंट ऑनलाइन ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम इज समथिंग विच वुड बी वर्किंग with instrumental in shaping the careers of the IRMS officer. So if you're writing make for way forward, तो आप इसके बारे में IGOT के बारे में ज़रूर जिक्र करेंगे, because this is something which is very important by the government which aims to ensure कि जो HR policies है या फिर जो overall इंडियन रेलवे मैनेजमेंट सर्विस है या कोई भी ऑल इंडिया सर्विसेज है, उनकी प्रॉपर एक प्रोग्राम इंस्ट्रूमेंटल और करियर प्रोसेस के बारे में ध्यान दी जाएगी. So this is how the way forward can be read. Now moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answer of yesterday question. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is C. Financial Task Force, you have to look for the correct option, that this is an intergovernmental body. The objective is to standard promote effective implementation, regulatory operation and measure in combating the money laundering terrorism. So if you know that, well and good. If you know, you can check the correct option in the Google also. Second question of the day, Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Partnership Agreement was between which among the following countries? India, Mauritius, India, Sri Lanka, India, Japan, India, Maldives. So look for the correct option, and if you don't know, we'll be discussing the correct answer in the tomorrow's session. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.